Hi everyone, I'm Rockin Robin from CookingMexicanRecipes.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make some corn tortilla chips. I'm also going to show you how to make some cinnamon chips, and then at the end of the video I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do with the oil so you don't have to throw it away. So here's what we're going to need for our recipe. We're going to need some corn tortillas. Now I want to mention that you can use white or yellow corn tortillas, it doesn't matter. But what you want to look for is the thinnest tortilla that you can find in the store. So, you're going to have to just check the package and have a look and see, kind of feel. You can do that through the package and just kind of see how thin. Get it thinner. That way your tortilla and your chips are going to turn out light and crispy. Okay? Now, we're also going to need a tray with some paper towels. And we're going to use some tongs, which will help us turn over the chips in the hot oil. And then we're going to need a cutting board and a knife to cut up our tortillas. Here's my setup for cooking our corn tortilla chips. I have about a 10.5-inch frying pan here, and I poured some oil in there. Vegetable oil is what we're going to use. And I also have an attached candy thermometer here to help me keep the oil temperature between 325 degrees and 350. Now, if the temperature gets above that, your chips are going to cook much too quickly and they're going to burn. So that's why if you have a candy thermometer or you don't have one, get yourself one. It'll make this a lot easier and your chips will turn out a lot better. So let's start off with cutting up our corn tortillas. What we're going to do is cut these into eighths. So I'm going to cut it in half. You can stack these on top of each other. Cut them in half again and then in half one more time. Now you can actually cut these in any shape or strip size that you want, but this is what I'm going to use for today. Put your chips in a bowl and bring them over to the stove, and we're going to start cooking them. All right, so our temperature for our oil is up to about 350. I'm going to carefully place a handful of chips in there like that. And as they're cooking, I'm just going to turn them over. You can see them really bubbling up. And I'm just going to let them cook like this for about a minute or so until they stop bubbling. And I'm going to try and keep my temperature around 350. When you add chips to hot oil, the temperature does tend to drop a little bit. But that's okay, so I'm just going to turn them over. Now these are going to want to cook. You can see they're still bubbling, so we're not going to start taking them out yet until they stop bubbling or get pretty close to that. All right, our chips are now settling down. They're not bubbling nearly as much. I've had to turn the temperature back up a little bit just to keep the temperature up, because once I put the chips in, the temperature of the oil then dropped. And now they're about ready for me to start taking out. So I'm just going to grab some, let them drain a little bit, and set them on my paper towel tray here. And what we want to do is, before they totally dry, I'm going to add some salt to them so that the salt will stick. Now we're going to just take the salt shaker, and I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of salt lightly all the way around and let them cool, and that's it. Our chips are done. They turned out beautiful. Have a look. I want you to see how nice and golden brown they turned out. And the reason they turned out as well as they did is because we monitored the temperature closely with that candy thermometer. So I highly recommend that you get one of those, because that way your chips will turn out great and you can use it for other things as well. These chips are great. They're nice and crispy. A little bit of salt, perfect. They go great with guacamole or salsa or just by themselves. Now a great way to store these is once they cool off, stick them in a Ziploc bag and they're ready for any time you are. Now I want to show you how to make some cinnamon chips. For these we're going to use flour tortillas, and we're going to cut them up basically the same way we did with the corn. You can cut triangles, you can cut strips, whatever you want. And then we're going to cook it in the oil very much the same way that we did with the corn. And we want to keep our temperature again between 325 and 350. Okay, so for these I'm going to go ahead and do something different. I'm going to cut strips. I'm going to cut them like that, and then I'm going to cut them in half again. And that's it. Now we're going to go fry them. I'm going to lay these in, and I'm not going to put as many as I did with the corn. And I'm going to turn them over. You can see they've turned golden brown, so it's time for them to come out. I'm just going to scoop them out, let them drain a little bit. So spread these out. I made a mixture of cinnamon and sugar. This is 1/3 cup of sugar with a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I mixed it all together. And now I'm just going to sprinkle this over the tortillas while they're still warm, and they will, the cinnamon and sugar will stick to the tortilla. Now depending on how sweet you like it, you could flip them over and do the other side. So let's do that. I'll flip these over, and I'll put a little bit more on the second side. And these are a nice little delicious kind of dessert chip that everybody seems to enjoy. I'm going to let my cinnamon chips cool for a bit before I serve them to my cameraman who's eagerly waiting to eat them. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is the oil that's left over. After you get done making your chips, you'll probably have a cup or two of oil left over. So what you want to do is let it cool first and then store it into a glass container and use it later for your refried beans. It adds lots of nice flavor to the recipe, and you know, it's a great way to use it up. Thanks for stopping by and watching my video today. Be sure and stop by my website at cookingmexicanrecipes.com and subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.